एकम् अक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयं लिप्यते हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं मात्रम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता आत्मनिष्ठो देहं जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्त्वतभावशुद्धिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्धा ओम भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। Namo Ramana. We have been meditating on Sri Shankaracharya's Vivekachoodamani, translated into prose version into Tamil by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. We have had 3 or 4 satsangs where we have covered up to verse number 71 or so. Since there has been some gap in our threading back to the series of talks, let's have a brief look at what those 71 verses point towards from the Acharya. We are relying on Bhagavan's prose work, and as we delve into it, we find there is almost a word for word match with the Sanskrit original. There has been some small exchanges in the order, but then that's only to increase the meaning of the prose, and that nothing essential has been left out. So we have been relying on Bhagavan's prose version and connecting to the Vivekachoodamani publication from Ramakrishna Ashram to keep in touch with the Sanskrit version. What is it that the Acharya is asking us of, or asking of us in the first 71 verses? I have noted down as 13-14 points. So if we can keep that in mind, then we can proceed. He begins with saying that after taking us through the various requirements for the sadhaka, of which the most difficult to get, he says, is the discrimination between the self and the non-self. Then he lets go of that argument that you should be born in such and such a thing. You should have this knowledge of scholarship of Vedas. All that he drops and reduces all those qualifications to just 3. That is in verse 3. He says that a human birth, intense desire for liberation, Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, and Mahapurusha Shamsharayah, the association with sages. If anyone has this, if anyone is reading Vivekachoodamani, if anyone has been blessed enough to come to Bhagavan's teachings, then the Mahapurusha Shamshraya is there. Manushyattvam and Mumukshutvam is left for one's own inquiry, whether we are humane enough, deserve to be called as human beings, and whether we have this desire for liberation. The understanding that real happiness is in being the self, not the limited self. Once we understand that, we are eligible to meditate on this work, Vivekachoodamani. And immediately the Acharya says that if somebody has these 3, Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, and Mahapurusha Samshraya, if he has come across the teachings of the sage and has got intense seeking of liberation, he has knowledge that abiding in the self alone is real happiness. And suppose he does not make effort after that, now that is akin to committing suicide, he says. Suppose you have all these 3, and suppose we don't make the effort or the sadhana that is asked of us, that is similar to committing suicide. That is point number 2. Point number 3 is that the liberation is not attained by huge study of or cyclical study of scriptures, but in one thing and one thing only, that is in the knowledge of the unity of Atman and Brahman. What is the work going to point out to us? That liberation essentially consists of your understanding that you and Brahman are not two separate entities, that you are really the Brahman only. So that is point number 3. Point number 4 that comes out of these 71 verses is that actions, whatever we may be taking up, they are only prescribed for purification of the mind, and that liberation is obtained by self-enquiry only. An enquiry into the self only is the path shown for liberation. The actions, whatever the prescribed actions are there, they are only for chitta shuddhi, says the Acharya. That is point number 4. Point number 5 that emerges is that what the sadhaka should do is that he should approach a guru, and the guru's instructions as to inquiry into truth must be sought. That is the next step. The next step the sadhaka has to take is he has to approach a guru, and when Bhagavan's teachings are there with us, that means we have already approached the guru. Muruganar and Sadhuvam Swamigal, who were all Kanchanjangas compared to Bhagavan's Everest, and whose jnana was never in question, whose oneness with the self was never in question, they themselves would not claim Gurutvam, is what was said. That they would always say that once Bhagavan has been approached, then Bhagavan himself is the Guru also. So when we have Bhagavan's teachings before us, then we have approached the Guru and we are seeking, and that is how we are going through the teachings of Bhagavan, of which the Vivekachoodamani translation is also a significant part. Then comes the what are the detailed qualifications asked of the Sishya? That is point number 6. What are the detailed qualifications asked of the Sishya? The Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, and Mahapurusha Samshraya, they are given by Ishvara Anugraha. Ishvara Anugraha gives you those three, and if you have that Ishvara Anugraha, don't make sadhana, that is equivalent to committing suicide. Now, the qualities are gone into in detail. That is, one has to have, first of all, Viveka, the ability to discriminate between the real and the unreal. And he is going to take us to the Chudamani of Viveka. But first of all, we should have the ability to discriminate the right and the wrong. Here, the right and the wrong is real and unreal. Then there should be a disinclination to enjoy the fruits of our karma in this or in any other world. If we are still interested in the karma phala bhoga, then too the self cannot be inquired into. The karma phala is a complete non-self, and it is ashashvatam, and it is keeping on changing. The goalposts are changed. Once you reach a goalpost, yet another goalpost is shown. So the first qualification is you should be able to discriminate between the real and the unreal. The karma phala being unreal should be eschewed in this world and in any other worlds that you can think of. The third quality is that you should have the Shad Sampatti of Sama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. Those are in Sadhana Chatushtaya, this is the third qualification. That is, you should have the Shad Sampatti. The Sama essentially means tranquility, not going towards the sense objects. Dhamma is self-control. Uparati is withdrawal from the karmas you have conditioned to take up. Titiksha is, even though you have avoided the conditionings regarding karma and phala, you may still have some past karma out of which some sufferings may come. So you should have the titiksha, the forbearance, the patience not to get irritated with the sufferings that come. Then faith, the shraddha, and the samadhana, they complete the Shad Sampatti. So first of all, discrimination between the real and the unreal. Second is not seeking of any karma phala here or hereafter. Third is have the Shad Sampatti. And fourth is Mumukshutva. These four are the detailed qualifications you need to have. The next point is Bhagavan's oft-quoted verse. Bhagavan quotes this verse. This is verse number 31 of Vivekachoodamani in Sanskrit. That is, what is the path that we are going to take? Of all the paths, Acharya says Bhakti is the highest. And in 31, he says, what is Bhakti? Swaswarupa Anusandhanam Bhakti Ritya Abhidhiyate. What is Bhakti? Swaswarupa Anusandhanam. To inquire into the nature of yourself is Bhakti. So that is point number 7 in summary of whatever we have done. Very important point, verse number 31 in Vivekachoodamani, is that at the heart of our sadhana is going to be surrender to the Guru, Bhakti of the Guru. And what is it that translates into, that Bhakti should translate into Swaswarupa Anusandhanam. Then there is the surrender to the Guru. The eighth point is we should learn to be surrendered to the Guru completely and know that Bhagavan is our only source of support. In this whole journey, he is the only support required, and completely be obedient to what we understand of him. In an exchange between one of the later on Swamijis, I forget his name, he is cutting the vegetables along with Bhagavan in the morning hours. And Bhagavan says, go out and collect the mangoes that have fallen from the mango tree. It is early morning. So take the hurricane lamp, go out to the garden, pick the mangoes that have fallen from the mango tree. The Swamiji, later on Swamiji, he shakes his head but continues to cut the vegetables. Then Bhagavan, to our good fortune and to the good fortune of that sadhaka, says in a stern voice, the sadhaka writes that it is from me that everything comes. It is from me that everything originates. So first of all, carry out whatever I say. And the Swamiji writes, this is an instruction for me to practice who am I. That is the first thing Bhagavan says, that Atma Vicharam, from where the I thought arises, that is where Bhagavan is. And his primary teaching is seek the source of the I. So I took this command not only to immediately obey and pick up the mangoes, but also to constantly practice who am I is. So the surrender to Guru, unconditionally following, not questioning. The laboratory experiment has been suggested. When thoughts arise, do not pursue them, but diligently inquire for whom is this thought. The experiment has been given by the Guru. Now, without questioning, one should follow that. Then the Guru, according to the Acharya, says that on the surrender of the Sishya, he says that the means of liberation are Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana, and Yoga. And you will also attain the liberation through Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana, and Yoga. Is his instruction. And then comes the 10th point, where the Sishya shows his maturity by asking the right questions. So these are the questions we should have according to Acharya. Each one of us should have these questions in our mind when doing Atma Vicharam. These are the questions that are going to be answered. What are the questions? Oh Master, what is bondage? How did it come? How does it survive? How is it to be destroyed? What is bondage? How does it come? How does it survive? How is it to be destroyed? What is non-self? And what indeed is the self? And what is the discrimination between self and non-self? What is non-self? What is the self? What is the discrimination between non-self and self? These questions on bondage and the discrimination between self and non-self is a must that each one of us should have as emerging questions from study of Vivekachoodamani. The Guru is so pleased. That is the next point. If you have felt the desire to be the self, free from bondage caused by ignorance, you are indeed blessed. He goes on to say that your lineage, the whole lineage of yours is going to be liberated by this single following of the Guru's instructions, that you have to seek what is this that binds us, how does the bondage continue, how to end bondage, and what is the knowledge of the non-self, what is this self, and what is indeed the discrimination between the non-self and the self. Then the Guru is pleased. It says that these are the questions you should have. The next point that comes is that can you rely on any other person to remove this bondage? The Guru says the bondage has come about because of your ignorance. Therefore, you alone have to remove it. You can't put the blame on another. You don't need to give credit to another. The bondage has come about because of your own ignorance. And your own ignorance, just like a sick man has to take medicine himself to get rid of the sickness, you have to do the sadhana yourself to get rid of the ignorance, is the 12th point that emerges in this summary. The 13th point is how the sadhana is like digging up a treasure trove that is pointed to by a friend in our backyard. He says it's there. It's there right in the backyard. But we have to do the digging, we have to do the opening, we have to find the treasure of the Atman by ourselves. The Guru is the friend. He will point out right in your backyard, right in your I thought, the Paramatman is residing. Turn inward. Turn inward and let go of thoughts and hold the eye, he will say. But it is for us to dig up that treasure and identify with the self. The 14th point, the last point in summary of whatever we have seen, is the journey. The Guru then delineates what is going to be the journey that the Shishya is going to take up. He says, first of all, first and foremost in your journey, you need Vairagya. What does discrimination mean? The Viveka does not mean just knowing this is good, this is bad, or this is real, this is unreal. You should have the Vairagya to keep away from the unreal. So Vairagya is the first thing. And you may not get to deeper levels of investigation into reality. Whatever level of reality you realize, this is unreal, you should immediately have the strength of Vairagya. So the sadhana begins with Vairagya. When Bhagavan says let go of thought, initially we may get simple thoughts. Hey, what will we have for lunch? Will we have the vada we ask for? These may be the thoughts that come. But we should practice. That is definitely unreal. That is definitely not to be pursued. So such simple thoughts, when it comes in Atma Vichara, you can learn to let go. You should immediately have the Vairagya. Not as well, hey, why am I not getting thoughts about the whole of waking state and all that? So the sadhana begins with Vairagya, your ability to let go of thoughts. And what does Bhagavan say? Even a single thought let go for a trice takes you a long way towards self-realization, Bhagavan says. So first step, first requirement is the journey will take you to the having of Vairagya. Then the possession of Shat Sampati. It will come as you practice Vairagya, you will become tranquil because you will not go after sense objects. You will become inward turned. You will become not going towards unnecessary karmas. You will become very forbearing of the troubles that come. You will have Shraddha. You will have Samadhana. All this will come once you start practicing Vairagya. So the second is the Shat Sampati will come. The third is that this Shat Sampati and Vairagya, it will make you listen to what the Guru is saying. It will make you understand, what a simple way Bhagavan has given us the reaching of the self. The non-self all arise only as the thoughts to the I thought. So you simply let go of the other thoughts and hold the I thought. Like this, we will do manana about Atma Vicharam. And what will that manana lead us to? The manana will lead us to nididhyasana. It will lead us to constant abiding in the I with effort. With effort, we will remain still. So that leads us to nirvikalpa samadhi. Nirvikalpa samadhi means the objective space is freed of all gross objects, including your body. The objective space is freed of all subtle objects, including all emotions and thoughts. Therefore, you have brought Sushupti right here and now. So that means only you are there and Sushupti is there. The Nirvikalpatva is there, but you should not get lost into the bliss of Sushupti. That Nirvikalpa Samadhi should give you the strength to move to Sahaja Samadhi. So the rise of Nirvikalpa Samadhi will give you strength for direct realization of the Supreme Self. So what are the steps delineated? Have Vairagya. Then Vairagya will lead you to Shat Sampati. You will better understand the Guru's teachings. The Shravana Manana will become strong. Nididhyasana will be a constant meditation on the Brahman, in our case Atman, and that will lead to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The whole objective space will be freed of gross objects, subtle objects, but then one should not get lost in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi and continue to hold, have the strength of Nirvikalpa, hold and attain the self-luminous self. Up to that we have seen in our previous engagements or talks. So we go on to the new area from 71. We try to go up to verse number 90. At least 20 or 30 verses we try to cover in each session is what we have seen. Let's see how far we can go. That doesn't really matter. We have got a summary of what all we have done so far. Now, where is the Guru taking us? The 71st verse. The Guru is taking us to the discrimination between the self and the non-self. That we had said that this is the greatest gift Bhagavan has given. That what is said to be the Chudamani of all the Vivekas, Bhagavan gives it to us in the very beginning. That you hold the I, let go of the non-I. He says, that is the blessing we have had. That is the portion we are reaching now. That the Guru is saying that I am going to take you through the discrimination between the non-self and the self. But first, let me start with the non-self, he says. And he goes off into verse number 72, 73, 74, 75 about the gross body. So let us go through what he says about the gross body. The brain, it is translated as the brain or marrow. When we go to the net and see that is there a connection between brain cells and marrow, we find that the modern science has found out that the stem cells in the marrow are now used to heal brain damage. That means the marrow cells in the center of the bones, they have the capacity, the stem cells have the capacity to become brain cells. Of course, it is not completely that all kinds of brain cells are made by the or transmitted from the marrow. Whether that is possible or not, it is still under research. But what is referred to here as brain, and in the ashram version, it is referred to as marrow. Both means fundamental cells, that the body is made of brain, bones, fat, flesh, blood, skin and semen. The Sapta Dhatus they are called. The body, gross body is constituted by the Sapta Dhatus of brain, bones, fat, flesh, blood, skin and semen. And what are these aggregated as? These are aggregated as feet, thighs, chest, shoulders, back, head. These are the members of the body. The problem comes where the problem comes that people regard this body as I, owing to the mind's attachment to it. It is the primary attraction to all and the most obvious. Now we have to pause here a bit, that what the Acharya is saying, everybody calls this as I, this body made of Sapta Dhatus, whose members are feet, thighs, chest, back and all that. What the individual does, the individual identifies with this body as I. In all our vyavaharas, we say I came, I went, I talked, I heard. All referring to the body as I. This is the primary attachment. Now, Bhagavan focuses only on this. He doesn't focus on other attachments. Like we are going to get to places where the Acharya will tell, drop these attachments. But Bhagavan doesn't mention those separately. And even when somebody asks, should I leave my family, should I leave my wife, children and all that, Bhagavan will always ask, what did they do? Are they the samsara? The samsara in Bhagavan is much more fundamental. He'll say, your identification with the body, as I am the body, is the root cause. All the other things, they don't have major problem, nor are they major solutions. So if you merely move some pawns there, that really doesn't solve the problem. The root problem is that you have identified. Identified means become one. You are not attached to the body. You are one with the body. Anyonyam. The word used in Tamil is anyonyam. You have become one with the body. And in all our transactions, we call this body as I. That is the fundamental and primary problem to all, most obvious but most ignored. We take it for granted, just like gravity was taken for granted for millennia. For all time to come, we don't inquire into this attachment. When somebody says be detached, we'll think it's only detachment from the other objects. But Bhagavan, we should understand, focuses only on this. We'll say free the consciousness from the identification with the body. But the Acharya moves ahead, that he does point out the importance of this. We should hold it and we should understand the beauty of Bhagavan's teachings. It's not that Bhagavan's teachings is ignoring the other attachments. What Bhagavan says, if you cut the root, the others will fall automatically. Whom you call as wife, whom you call as child, will still be there, but you will not call them as wife or child. You will call them as sadhakas or mumukshus, really seeking only liberation. They are not objects of pleasure or objects bringing sorrow. They are also only seeking the real happiness of the self. So there will be a redefinition. When you look at your own identity, they also have the same problem of identity with the Saptadhatu Deha. So there is no difference between the ones whom you feel you are related to and the one whom you feel you are not related to. So moving from one place to another is insignificant in Bhagavan's teachings, because all of us have the same problem of identification with the body. So that we should drive ourselves to understand that properly. Then move ahead, because Acharya will move ahead into the area of sense objects. The body is made up of ether, air, fire, water and earth. We won't think like this. We won't think like this that the body is made of the Panchabhutas. That means in one sense it is made of Saptadhatus. Should forget that. In one sense it is divided into organs like feet, thighs, chest, back and all that. Forget that. That's not essential. But it is made of the Panchabhutas, which are everywhere. The Panchabhutas only form everything that we see. That is the space, the earth, the water, the air and fire. The body is also made of the same elements. And this is what we have discussed again and again through the presentations of Tom Chi, that the body is a constant state of exchange with the earth. It is actually earth moving like this. But Acharya says this portion of earth, the gross elements are brought into a form by our previous karma. Why does the body exactly stay in shape like this? Why the same aloo eaten by me form a different cell and eaten by a youngster forms a different cell? The Acharya says it is due to the karma. The ego being intent on pleasure regards the body as the place where it is going to enjoy life. It is going to enjoy, it is called as Kshetram by Bhagavad Gita. So the body is made of Saptadhatus. Then he is going to say that the same Panchabhutas, they are formed. How are they formed? The Panchabhutas are formed by Panchikarana. The Panchabhutas are in the subtle form, they are called as Tanmatras. The same space, air, water, fire and earth. In subtle form, they are called as Tanmatras. In one of the talks, Bhagavan clarifies that Tanmatras are even more subtler than the dream experiences. Tanmatras are even more subtler than what we experience in the dream, as the dream creation. So have that in mind. Those Tanmatras of five, the subtle five elements, they go through something called as Panchikarana, or the dividing and remixing. Each of the 5 is divided into 2, and one of the halves is divided further into 8. So each of the gross elements that we have, suppose earth is a gross element we have, it takes the tanmatra of earth, that means half of the tanmatra of earth. For the rest of the half, it includes 1/8 or 1/7 from all the 1/8 from all the 8 elements, or the 1/8 of the other 4. The other 4 what comes? They are divided, the half of it is divided into 4, isn't it? That means the 4 are having 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. Take 1/8 of, suppose you want the gross space. It is tanmatra of space half. Then 1/8 of fire, 1/8 of air, 1/8 of water, and 1/8 of earth, or whatever the other 4 are. This Panchikarana, that means the subtle elements are so mixed that in gross earth there are the other 4. The subtle other 4 are present in that. Therefore, you can cross the gross only by going to the subtle. The gross earth is a mixture of all the 5 elements in the tanmatras. Now, the tanmatras themselves combine in their subtlety itself, they combine to form the sense objects. Sense objects here does not mean the objects of the world. The objects of the world are made of the gross elements. Keep them aside. What does the Vivekachoodamani mean by sense objects? By sense objects, which is the mixing of the tanmatras, the Vivekachoodamani is telling us the experience of sight, experience of hearing, experience of taste, experience of smell, and experience of touch. These are the sense objects. That means experience of sight, experience of hearing, experience of taste, experience of touch. These are the sense objects, and the Acharya is going to take us from the identification with the body to attachment to sense objects. That means he is going to say that the subtle elements, subtle essences of the tanmatras, they form the sense of sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. The ego, the jiva, being intent on pleasure, regards these sense objects as means of enjoyment. We give ourselves to enjoy these 5, that is the sense of seeing, the sense of taste, the sense of sound, the sense of sight, and sense of touch. Those 5, sense of smell and sense of touch, the ego wants to enjoy. Foolish and ignorant persons are bound to the sense objects by the rope of desire, attracted according to the power of their karma, which leads them up and down and causes them to wander in distress. According to the past karma, we are identified, we are attached to these sense objects. And the Acharya says, the serpent, the deer, die on attachment to sound, elephant on attachment to touch, fish through attachment to taste, and the bee through attachment to smell. If these die through attachment to a single sense, what must be the fate of man who is attached to all 5? The serpent and the deer, it is said that the deer is played some nice music by the hunter and it is trapped. The elephant is attracted by touch. It is brought a female elephant, the male elephant, to catch a male elephant, the female elephant is kept, and the sense of touch traps it, kills it. Fish, of course, put the sinker, attach a worm, the fish dies because of its sense of taste. And the bee, the smell of honey, it goes and falls into the honey itself and kills itself. If one of these senses can kill these animals, then how a man or a woman who is attached to all the 5 senses is in danger. The Acharya goes ahead and says in verse 77 that the senses or sense objects are worse than poison, because poison kills only that one who takes it in, who consumes it. But the sense object, which is the seeing, hearing, and all that, the sense object can kill you even by mere seeing or even thinking of it. Even thinking of the sense object can kill you. What is this killing? We go back to Taittiriya Upanishad. In Taittiriya Upanishad, Ahamannam, Ahamannam, in that verse, it is said that the man thinks man is eating food. But the whole earth is food. And the man is being eaten by the food. Who is going to win? Are we going to keep on eating, or is the earth going to eat the body? So far as the man identifies, I am eating food, tasty foods, he forgets that it is the food that is eating him. Once he gets the perspective that it is the food that is eating me, then the Upanishad says, then he starts giving me away. He starts giving food away to others, and he knows that his continuity exists in keeping life going, identifying with the whole rather than the particular. Identifying with the particular, he meets birth and death. Identifying with the whole of Annam, he starts giving away Annam, and in giving away he lives, says the Upanishad. But then you get the perspective, how each of these senses, when you have the doership, I am tasting, I am smelling, I am seeing, then the individual is moving towards the end, is moving towards the death. That's why the Acharya says those sense objects are more dangerous than poison, because he feels he is doing, but all the time his time is coming to an end. If you take time as an object, we feel we are using time. But Rama in Yoga Vasishtam says, time kills everybody. Those who feel they are using time are being used by time. Those who identify with time, they have an option to go beyond it. And definitely these senses are referred to as worse than poison. And Bhagavan, how does he deal with it? He doesn't go there at all. He says, if you are freed of identification with the body, automatically you will develop the Vairagya towards the sense objects. He alone obtains liberation, who with sharp sword of detachment cuts the strong rope of love for the sense objects, and so frees himself from them. Even the knowledge of six Shastras is not enough. Even somebody may be an expert in the 6 Shastras, but then if they are having the attachment to the senses, they are moving towards their birth and death. It is inevitable. Desire, like a crocodile, instantly seizes the aspirant after liberation, who tries to cross the ocean of samsara and reach the shore of liberation without firm detachment, and straightway drags him down into the ocean. If you don't have the Vairagya to keep away from the sense objects, then any one of them to which you are attached can pull you down and keep you in the depths of the ocean of samsara. Now, having practiced Atma Vicharam, we now understand why the Acharya is saying like this, that the Bhagavan attacking the identification with the body, each thought about any sense object comes, what we have to do in Atma Vicharam? We have to do, for whom is this thought, and hold the I thought and take it to the source. So, why the Acharya is saying turn inward from the senses? We will have Viveka for it when we clearly practice Atma Vicharam. Definitely, it is not to go behind any of the 5 senses. We will have understanding. So, with the understanding of Atmanishtai, we will practice whatever the Acharya is saying. It will not be a beginner's Vairagya, because a beginner's Vairagya towards sense objects may have aversion, may have the negative emotion. If you see some of the verses attending to this Vairagya of sense objects, you will find a lot of emotionally negative things put in those verses. so that you develop the Vairagya Shakti towards the objects. But obviously, those emotions are also to be dropped in Atma Vicharam, isn't it? So, the Vairagya we will be practicing will not be with an aversion, but will be with an understanding. Where is the need to go for this extra? Where is the need to go for this extra sound or pleasant smell or taste or whatever? We will automatically start eating food for living, not eating food for taste. But it will be done not with an aversion to the senses, but with an understanding of the senses. That is the advantage of coming to Vivekachoodamani study with practicing of Atma Vichara. That is, we don't need to develop the aversion, but definitely should we keep away or not? 100%. We should stay with the Acharya's teachings, that we should not allow the indulgence in the area of the senses. Because it is definitely, if you retain that, it is going to drag us. See the advantage of practicing Atma Vicharam and learning the traditional scriptures. Because with Atma Vicharam, you don't need to develop the aversion in between in the emotion. He who lacking good sense enters upon one path after another of attachment to sense objects, experiences ever greater distress until he is finally destroyed. And jatasya dhruvor mrityu dhruvor janmam mritasya cha. If you have gone on enjoying the sense objects, you will meet the death. You will have to once again be born. And earlier the Acharya says, after many births, only one gets the discrimination. One gets the the three qualities, that crores of births have to be taken before you get Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, and Mahapurusha Shamshraya. So we should not miss this opportunity. Having got all these three, we should diligently understand what great dangers we have gone through again and again and again, died again and again, where we have come into an inquiry about the sense objects. Without developing aversion, but with understanding and knowledge, one has to stop being attached to the sense objects. But he who exerts control over himself, walks on the path of discrimination laid by the Guru, attains his goal. This indeed is the truth. Therefore, if you really want liberation, cast away the pleasure of sense objects as though they were poison. Hold firmly to the virtues of contentment, compassion, forgiveness, sincerity, and tranquility and self-control. So, with understanding, with the gentleness of understanding, one keeps away from the sense objects. Not with aversion. Give up all actions performed out of attachment to the body and strive ceaselessly for the liberation from bondage caused by ignorance. Through attachment to the body, we would have done 101 karmas. Through attachments to its well-being, it should be like this, it should be like that, it should show like that, we can think of all those karmas which we take on through attachment to the body. The Acharya says, drop them. Drop them. With Atma Vicharam, how do we drop? With an understanding, we let go. How simple life we can lead, and that will keep away from the karmas, the energy spent in karma, the time spent in karma for over attention to the body. That will be available for self-enquiry. That will be available for enquiring into the truth of the self. The body is finally consumed by the earth, fire, beasts, or birds. He who, forgetting his real nature, mistakes this body for the self, gets attached to it and cherishes it, and by so doing becomes the murderer of the self. Atmahan. One who is identified with the body, ignoring his true nature, is Atmahan. Keeps on talking about what we have to eat, this much protein, that much triglycerides, that much cholesterol, add this, deduct that. Constant worry about the body, it keeps you away from the opportunity to inquire into the self. Infatuation with the body is indeed fatal to the aspirant for liberation. Only he who overcomes infatuation to the body attains liberation. Therefore, you too must overcome infatuation for the body and for the wife and children, then you will attain liberation, says the Acharya. Of course, now the attachment to the wife and children, it is easily understood that they are also traveling in the same boat, that their main aim is not to go from point A to point B and then be shifted to point C and point D. The karma phala seeking, we having understood that there is no point in living a life of aviveka. There is no point in seeking karma phala here or hereafter. There is only point in developing the Shat Sampatti. There is only point in developing Mumukshutva. Even this much, if we will understand whom we were calling biological relatives or other relatives, they are also having the same aims to develop. They are also having the same goals. We stop calling them as related. We start calling them as sadhakas. We start sharing with them only the true viveka, true vairagya, what it is to live a life of turning inward and practicing surrender and atmavicharam as taught by Bhagavan. So, Bhagavan teaches us an approach to the vairagya which doesn't have the emotional negativity. The emotional negativity of having to have a strong negative feeling about the sense objects or a negative feeling about the body. What kind of body it is? Acharya is going to say it is filled with all kind of urine and this and that. Develop that aversion and then turn inward. Bhagavan's vairagya is with understanding that there is no need to think of the body, think of the sense objects again and again. Where is the attention to be fixed? The attention is to be fixed from where the I thought arises. So naturally itself, there is a understanding that the mere upkeep, just as how Bhagavan used to upkeep his body, the food was taken, the clothes were cleaned. Other than that, no extra attention to the body or the extra attention to what it was consuming, what was available for everyone, serve that to me. Something like that, when we start adopting, automatically our time available for the practice of Atmavicharam and the energy available for practice of Atmavicharam is to grow in leaps and bounds. The Tapo Shakti will increase in leaps and bounds. Why Bhagavan has translated Vivekachoodamani for us is that if there are any holes in our outward journey, we can plug them with the gentleness of attention. If we still have some areas in the sensory area where the energy is being dissipated to some sense object, by gentle attention, oh, this non-self, I have unnecessarily got attached. So pay some attention, and when the thoughts about that area comes, for whom is this? Gently turns the attention away from the sense object without any development of aversion or its opposite. Let's continue as we proceed into the next session. For 5 minutes, we are in verse number 87 of the Sanskrit work. We were aiming for 91. Doesn't matter. Let's continue in the next Wednesday session on Vivekachoodamani. As for now, let's sit for 5 minutes of Atmavicharam with Ujjwalji's support till 8 o'clock. Ujjwalji, you can set the time for us. Then we can listen to Kar. Let's sit in Atmavicharam.
नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय।
Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as a self in all beings. Today we had a beautiful revision of the first section of Vivekachoodamani, and then later we have been taken into the further verses which are talking about the Panchikarana, the 5 elements, and then we were told how the body is made up of 5 elements. But before that, we were told that the sadhana, the chief factor in sadhana is the vairagya, and then vairagya will lead to the Shat Sampatti, and then we will get Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and we will be established in Sahaj Samadhi after that. So the factor of Vairagya, how to bring about this Vairagya, we have Bhagavad Pada creating the Vairagya in us by the clear definition or the explanation of what constitutes this body and how it is made up, what all it is made up of. In our self-inquiry workshops, we often have an exercise where we ask everyone to make a self-portrait. And most of the people, if we are asked to make a self-portrait, we will usually draw an image as best as we can of what we see in the mirror or what we see in the photograph. But the body consists of so many other things. Consists of, as I said, flesh and blood and bone and marrow and brain and so many organs, external, internal, all these. But then from there we are taken to the Panchabhutas to understand the vastness. And in this way, Vairagya is developed. Slowly Vairagya is developed from the body, and when Vairagya is developed from the body, then Vairagya is developed from the sense experiences. But how does Bhagavan teaches Vairagya? He asks us to have Vairagya towards each and every thought. So those thoughts, of course, include all sense experiences. So each and every thought, we should have Vairagya. This thought, I don't need to pursue this thought. Whether it's about sense experiences or in a way, not about sense experiences. But all experiences are connected only to the body. Because if there is no body, then what experience can we have? Bhagavan says in Ulladinakade that because of the existence of the body, all the other experiences arise thereafter. So the first experience is, I am this body. If that experience is not there, if the body is not there, can there be senses after that? There can be no senses. Because of the existence of the body, the senses are there. And it is pointed out that the body is a medium for enjoyment or for experiencing the results of karma. So, Bhagavan says, don't have to worry about all these aspects. You don't have to cut yourself away from senses, then cut yourself away from breath, then cut yourself away from the mind. If you understand that thought is not I, that is enough. So the Vairagya, supreme Vairagya is actually called upon in self-inquiry because not even a single thought is allowable, says Bhagavan. When before thought arises, even when it is in the germ form, when it seems to be arising, you cut it through self-inquiry. If not, if that is not done, then what happens? You become, as Acharya says, an Atmahan, or Bhagavan says, you become living corpses. Tanakama gives a very beautiful anecdote she recounts, where she says two priests were coming from the Smashana in those days. Even now, the cremation grounds in Tiruvannamalai, one cremation ground lies beyond Ramanashramam in the Girivalam road near the Yamalingam. So, two priests, after having finished a cremation ceremony, officiating at a ceremony, they were on their way back home. In those days, always only walking. See, most people, there were no vehicles, there were hardly any vehicles. And So people would walk from place to place, even long distances. Teshuramma and all have walked from Teshur and brought food and murukkurus and all for Bhagavan, so many kilometers away. So walking was the main means of transport. They were walking back to the town, and one of them said, I am extremely ravenously hungry. I'm so hungry, and so let us stop at Ramanacentre. They serve food to all those who come there. Anybody who goes there at lunchtime is given food. So let us stop at Ramanacentre and have food because I'm just ravenously hungry. I can't even hold my hunger till we reach the town and then I have to have a bath, etc. The other one said, no, that is not right because we have officiated at a cremation. So without having a bath, we should not have. But I'm also very hungry. So we'll do one thing. We'll go and ask Bhagavan what is the right thing to do. So they went to the ashram, and the one who had started this dialogue, he told Bhagavan, I'm extremely hungry, but we have officiated at this cremation and we have not yet had a bath. I'm extremely hungry. Can I join for lunch? Can we eat? Can we eat? Bhagavan said, yes, we can eat. The other person said, but is it not wrong to eat without having a bath after officiating at such a cremation? Bhagavan said, that is also true. Then, how is it that you are saying both? Bhagavan said, it's all a matter of perspective. In any case, why worry about all this when everyone here is actually a corpse? Have you to worry about having a bath and all when you yourself are a corpse? You might have gone to a crematorium. And how is it that I am a corpse? Oh, everyone here is a living corpse. Most of the people here are living corpses. He says, strong term which Bhagavan uses are living corpses. Why? Because everyone is alienated from their true nature. They take the body which is Jada, to be the truth. If you take the body which is Jada to be the truth, you're as good as Jada. What is a corpse? A corpse is that which is Jada, which is insentient. A body that is insentient. And again, in Ramana Gita, Bhagavan says, the power of the self. From the heart, it radiates to the brain center, which is called Sahasrara. And from there, through mystical nadis, it permeates to the whole body. And when it permeates to the whole body, Bhagavan says, Samsari Manujo Bhavi. When the power, when the light of the self, light of consciousness permeates the whole body, the man becomes worldly or the person, individual becomes worldly because he or she thinks, oh, this body is sentient, this body is alive, and this body is I. So Bhagavan says, if we recognize that the body is Jada, he says it is Jada, it doesn't know anything. It is not saying, I, Dego, na janati. Jada udal nan ennadu. It is not the I at all. Where do you identify with it? But there is something which has risen and is identifying with this body. Unless you inquire and take it back to its source, we will not be able to get the awareness of the soul. So in great grace, Bhagavan says, even one moment of not having Vairagya can lead to great problems. If we forget for a moment also, we can get lost in many, many, many words. In fact, he goes to the point of saying even inattention, forget attachment to the senses. In one of the stories which Bhagavan narrates, he says, Nakirar was sitting by a river bank. He was in dhyana. He opened his eyes and he saw a leaf falling from the tree, and that leaf then became a fish and it became a bird and it flew away. Oh, we would say very amazing. Nakira did not even say amazing. He just watched and he had yoga brashta. He fell from his yoga. Why? Because he watched it. He watched something as an object. So Bhagavan says, don't watch. Don't even watch. inquire and get back to the source, have that much vairagya, as in every thought arises. And supposing we do not have the vairagya to have inquired into some thoughts, should we indulge in depression because of that? Depression, yes, to some extent, sometimes guilt is good because it makes us recognize that we have to turn back. But to that extent only. But the real requirement is to question that thought also. Question, to be active in sadhana. If guilt is going to make us active in sadhana, it is good. Otherwise, even that is a waste. So, turn attention back to the self. If you have been asleep, doesn't matter. As soon as you wake up, turn attention back to the self, so Bhagavan. And this is the great grace of Bhagavan that has brought us to self-enquiry and the blessing of Satata Vairagya, of questioning each and every thought as it arises and getting back to the source until thought does not rise anymore at all. Om Namo Krishna.
Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana to all.
Namo Ramana, Namo Ramana, sir.